everybody, and thank you for being here. We have a very big day ahead. Before we do that, I just want to have a quick thank you to AG personally. It was very important to me that he kicked off today's conference, in part because I wanted him to have an opportunity to introduce himself to all of you. His father, Arthur, as those of you who've been here for so many years know, has kicked off this conference every year prior to this, and it's a privilege to have AG continue that tradition. I should say, had the opportunity when I was 18 years old to start. I started working for his grandfather, and I've had the chance to work for his grandfather, his father, and now him. He is very much the real deal, and I am proud to be part of all of this. We are at a remarkable time in history when it comes to business and politics, and the intersection of it all. It has become more intertwined than ever. Business has become politics. Politics has become business. Just witness the daily headlines that you saw earlier: taxes, tariffs, digital privacy, gun control, China, just Saudi Arabia a couple of weeks ago. We're going to be tackling all of these issues with so many remarkable people on this stage today. And I imagine so many of them will also make news. Let me just tell you a little bit of who's on deck today. We're going to be hearing from Larry Fink in just a little bit from BlackRock. He has over $6 trillion under management. Steve Ballmer is going to be here ahead of the midterms. He's done something remarkable with some data sets that he's going to show you and we're going to talk about. Mary Barra, perhaps the most powerful woman in business today from General Motors, is going to be here in a little bit. We'll talk about autonomous vehicles and the future of our world. And Nancy Dubuque, CEO of Vice Media, is going to be here. It's a company that was on a remarkable trajectory. It's been a little bit more challenged, but in the age of digital media, where's it all going? We'll talk to her. And then Lachlan Murdoch, of course, the executive chair of 21st Century Fox, in one of the rare conversations that he has had in public. After lunch, we'll talk to Ken Frazier, who probably has more new drugs under his tenure than just about any other CEO in pharmaceutical world. And then there are so many questions about the future of healthcare that we'll talk about. And then we're going to have what I think is perhaps one of the most important conversations we have today, one about Me Too. Lisa Borders is here. She is the new president of Time's Up. Today, literally, is her first day on the job, and she's going to be joined by Padma Lakshmi, who wrote a piece in the New York Times, an op-ed piece about 3 or 4 weeks ago, an experience about being raped when she was 16 years old. And we wanted to have both of them talk about this moment that we are all living in and where it's all headed. Mark Raybert is here. You have to be here later this afternoon. He runs Boston Dynamics, probably the edge of the envelope when it comes to robotics. He's going to bring a robot. You'll see it. But we'll also see what the future really looks like. And then the conversation that I imagine so many people want to hear. Sundar Pichai is going to be here from Google. There is news being made as we speak today. There are walkouts going on at offices at Google throughout the world today over headlines that came out of the New York Times in the past week about sexual harassment allegations, and we will talk directly about those with him. We'll then also talk with Evan Spiegel from Snap, another company that had has been on a remarkable ride over these past couple of years. And then a conversation with Lloyd Blankfein, the outgoing CEO of Goldman Sachs, now senior chairman. We'll talk about his tenure at Goldman, where Wall Street was and maybe where it will be. And then finally, one of the people I think is the most interesting people in the world, Peter Thiel, is going to be here. And we will talk about Silicon Valley, we will talk about innovation, but we will also talk about the midterms and, of course, his support for Donald Trump. Before we do all of that, I want to make today as interactive as possible, and I want everyone to get to know each other because there are so many remarkable people here in this room, and so we've done a couple things a little bit differently this year. We've set up something called a groundbreaker session over lunch. This is really to highlight the remarkable groundbreakers that are among us, and I hope that you'll have an opportunity to sit with them, hear their stories, and share yours. We've also set up a series of task forces, which you're going to be hearing a lot more about in a little bit, one on ethical AI, the other on diversity. And Rebecca Blumenstein, our deputy managing editor at the Times, and David Gellis, who's our corner office columnist, you're going to be seeing them on stage. They're going to help us walk through those task forces. It's probably unfair for me to identify people by name, but just so you see, I mean, I really think we've put together a unique group of people here today. I just want to sort of spotlight a couple of people. I don't know where they are. John Hope Bryant is here. He is somebody I met in 2007 in China. He runs something called Operation Hope. He's devoted himself to helping families in the inner city raise their credit rating, and he is actually succeeding. If you find him, talk to him. He is fascinating. Ed Stack is here. He's the CEO from Dick's Sporting Goods. He made a very courageous decision. I hope you'll clap for him today. He stopped the sale of AR-15s earlier this year, and it was a difficult one, and we're going to talk to him about that throughout the day. Steve Stout is here, who I met through Howard Schultz, who was up here last year. Steve Stout's one of the great music legends of our time. He is upending and reimagining the music industry with the help of Google. Dov Seidman is somewhere here. I think of him as my conscience of business, and I hope we're going to hear from him in a little bit. T. Duckett is here from J.P. Morgan. If you get a chance to meet this woman, she's one of the most special people. I met her randomly, and she made me cry, and I hope she makes you cry, too, in a good way. I actually sent Jamie Dimon a note about how impressive I thought she was, and she is extraordinary. Steph Corey is here. She's the co-founder of Away Bags, probably the most remarkable startup in retail history in the past couple of years. If you don't know what we're talking about, find her. Brad Kutsuyama is here. If you read Flash Boys, Michael Lewis's book, he's trying to change the world of stock exchanges. He is here. And then Tony Schwartz is the CEO of the Energy Project. But you might want to talk to him about something else he has done. He was the co-author with our president, President Trump, of The Art of the Deal. So I hope you guys get a chance to find so many of these unique and interesting people in this room. And as I said, it's so unfair because there's so many people here who deserve praise and recognition. But before we begin, I want to do something. It's a little bit of a dinner party trick. I hope it's going to work. I don't know, but I'm going to try. Under your seats right now, there is a card. It's not like Oprah, so there's no gifts. But I've actually written a question for each of you. This is your license throughout the day to go up to anybody here and ask them this question. And they have a license to come to you and ask you their question. I hope you do this. And what I want to do is, I literally want to take 2 minutes, please. Find somebody you don't know. If you're sitting somewhere next to you that you do know or you don't know, ask them the question. You may not have time to get a full answer, but maybe this will continue the conversation. So I literally want to take 2 minutes to just ask the question. Play the music if you can for a second. I'm worried this is working too well. I'm worried this is working too well. Maybe if you can increase my mic volume for a second. Hey, George. Okay. I'm gonna have to try to bring it back. I'm glad this, if you've begun the conversation, that's the important point. And what I'm hoping will happen throughout the day is that you'll continue that conversation with somebody you don't know, and perhaps find others throughout the day that you can ask that same question to, and see if you can create and forge new friendships and relationships, because this is a day about conversations and about ideas. Finally, let me do this. Let me thank everybody here for being here. We've been doing this for many years. For those of you who've been here before, thank you. This is like a great reunion. For those of you who haven't, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. I want to thank everybody who's been a subscriber to DealBook since the beginning when I was in my pajamas. You all know the story, and I am so appreciative about that. If you aren't a subscriber, by the way, please, please become one. Finally, there's a huge team behind this whole day that deserves so much credit. This doesn't just happen overnight. Dorothea Harry, where are you? She runs our conference team, NYT Live. She is amazing. Please. So many of you probably know her because she has been with us for so many years now. And, you know, I'm married, but I love you. You know that. Tamara is here, and she is just the best. And she makes all of this happen. and just deserves more praise than anything I'm going to do up here at all. A couple of other just quick thank yous. Thank you to the DealBook team, the reporting team that brings you the news every single day, that helps me on the newsletter, in the pages of the paper, online. They do such a great job. And then finally, a couple of thank yous to Ellen Pollack, our business editor, who has really reimagined the business coverage of the New York Times. Rebecca Blumenstein, who you're going to see, our deputy managing editor. Joe Kahn, who's going to be here in a little bit, our managing editor. And then our executive editor, Dean Baquet, who have been supporters and advocates for this project from the very beginning. New York Times COO Meredith Levine and Mark Thompson, who are doing earnings right now. They will be here in just a little bit as well, and you'll be seeing them around. And then finally, my thank you, as you all know, to the Sulzberger family. They know how much they mean to me, and they gave me an opportunity when I really did not deserve one, and I probably still don't. So thank you. Now.